Today, we will delve into how pomegranate juice reduces the formation of cholesterol plaques and aids in their dissolution, using the results of 39 scientific studies. We will determine how much pomegranate juice is necessary to lower blood pressure and glucose levels, reduce bad cholesterol, and simultaneously enhance male sexual function. Increase the levels of hemoglobin and red blood cells in the blood. You will learn how pomegranate juice helps reduce weight for everyone and diminishes the intensity and frequency of hot flashes during menopause, its impact on the mental state of elderly people, and how it supports the development of a healthy brain in infants in the womb. Additionally, you will discover the smaller effects it has, such as improving athletic performance and reducing symptoms of viral diseases and COVID-19. I will also discuss whether pomegranate juice and supplements act as a medicine or preventive measure. This video is created with the participation of a certified nutritionist with a PhD who has many years of experience in evidence-based dietetics, meaning he collects and shares scientifically proven ways to improve your health through dietary changes. A list of all the studies we relied on to create this video can be downloaded via a special link at the very end of this video's description. Based on our analysis, we have formulated 10 recommendations for consuming pomegranate and pomegranate juice. These recommendations will provide you with a comprehensive guide to using pomegranates and pomegranate juice. If you want to become a master of your health, hit the like button and let's get started. Let's be honest, like me, you probably never considered pomegranates, let alone pomegranate juice in cans or packets, as something serious. At most, it was an expensive indulgence. However, now I will show you the results of research that completely changed my view of pomegranates and made me appreciate this incredibly beneficial product. To understand whether the benefits of any product are a myth or reality, it is necessary to explore its mechanism of action. If the mechanism is clear, and the product is effective in both animals and humans, it can confidently be recommended as a beneficial remedy. Therefore, I will provide you with some theoretical information so that together we can understand how pomegranate juice works and what makes it so effective. Nowadays, everyone is familiar with the term atherosclerosis, the accumulation of cholesterol plaques in the vessels, leading to a reduction in their diameter, and, consequently, a host of problems. The most unpleasant is the accumulation of cholesterol plaques inside the carotid arteries, those very ones that supply the brain with blood. As a result, the body has to significantly increase pressure to constantly supply the brain with fresh blood. And if the lumen of the carotid artery has significantly decreased and the blood density has significantly increased, a clot may form, which will block the carotid artery for some time, resulting in the person suffering an ischemic stroke. In addition, the narrowing of the carotid artery's lumen significantly worsens the overall health condition, leads to shortness of breath, and impairs mental activity. Therefore, people whose lumen has significantly decreased often have a stent inserted, special expanders that keep the artery in an expanded state for some time and allow blood to pass further. But as a result of an incorrect lifestyle, the artery often gets blocked in another place, and then this costly and very risky procedure has to be repeated. In the photographs, which are plentiful on the internet, you will see a vessel with a narrowed lumen and one with a normal lumen. To expand this vessel's lumen, people are usually given medications that remove excess bad cholesterol from the blood. These are called statins and have a multitude of unpleasant side effects. And so, scientists took a group of 19 people whose vessel lumens were reduced by 70–90%. Imagine, they were left with a narrow hole through which the body struggled to push blood to the brain. All these people, understandably, took statins and other medications. And the scientists, without changing anything for these people, neither in lifestyle, diet, nor medications, added merely 50 milliliters of regular pomegranate juice to their diet. And after a year, the group that took pomegranate juice saw 1.5 times reduction in the thickness of the so-called intima media complex, i.e., the thickness of the artery walls, and, correspondingly, a significant increase in the vessel's lumen. This led, as expected, to a reduction in pressure from 170 to 140 units, and also reduced their level of bad cholesterol from 120 to 100 units, and some parameters decreased. By the third year of intake, the parameters hardly improved anymore. In some cases, they even worsened because, pleased with the improvements, these people worsened their lifestyle and diet. And this, I repeat, is just 1/4 cup of pomegranate juice a day, 50 milliliters. Honestly, when I read this study, I too thought it was some nonsense, commissioned by pomegranate juice manufacturers who couldn't sell their stale goods. Really, 50 milliliters, friends, is this much pomegranate juice a day for a year, managed to do what statins and other medications could not achieve. It's something utterly incredible. But when I understood the mechanism of how pomegranate works, i.e., how it reduces cholesterol levels and makes harmful bad cholesterol much less harmful, I was convinced that this study is indeed absolutely true. I'll remind you that 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice a day have a more significant effect than costly statins. I have always been skeptical about pomegranate juice due to its low vitamin content. For example, 100 milliliters of pomegranate juice contains only 10% of the daily requirement of vitamin C, while cabbage juice covers 100% of the daily norm, and orange juice about 80–90%. In addition, pomegranate contains approximately 10% folic acid, 8% pantothenic acid, B vitamins, about 8% potassium, and 16% vitamin K, which is several times less than in cabbage. As for the ability of pomegranate to increase the level of hemoglobin and the number of red blood cells in the blood, there is a misunderstanding here since the iron content in pomegranate is very low, only about 3% of the daily norm in 100 milliliters. Thus, if we consider pomegranate in terms of vitamins and minerals, it is slightly better than any other fruit, but considering the cost of pomegranate as a source of vitamins and minerals, its use becomes unjustified. However, as our study showed, including pomegranate juice in the diet can bring significant benefits. The main conclusion number 1 is that, despite the fact that pomegranates and pomegranate juice are a poor source of vitamins and minerals, from 2 to 16% vitamins and from 0.1 to 3% minerals, their consumption should not replace other fruits and vegetables in the diet. The foundation of the benefits of fruits and vegetables consists of polyphenols, antioxidants that not only neutralize free radicals but also have a specific impact on various systems of the body. It is the polyphenols in pomegranate that have a specific impact on the cardiovascular and reproductive systems, defining their beneficial action. However, pomegranate is a rather paradoxical product, and the general rule does not apply to it. If we compare the amount of polyphenols found in red wine, green tea, juice from frozen fresh pomegranate, or commercial pomegranate juice from a package, we find that both red wine and pomegranate juice contain approximately the same amount of polyphenols. Commercial pomegranate juice even contains more polyphenols than that squeezed from frozen fresh pomegranate seeds, making canned commercial pomegranate juice a product that works no worse than freshly squeezed. We consume polyphenols approximately half as much as is contained in pomegranate juice, and one might expect that red wine would have approximately the same antioxidant capacity as pomegranate juice. And tea even less, about half as much. However, in the case of pomegranate, this is not the case. The antioxidant capacity of pomegranate juice is approximately 20 times higher than that of green tea and approximately 8–10 times higher than that of red wine. If we compare the antioxidant capacity of pomegranate juice with other juices, we will also be surprised because it is 1/4 higher than beet juice, 30% higher than red grape juice, approximately 1.5 times higher than cranberry or apple juice, and twice as high as orange juice. As you might have guessed, the secret lies in the fact that pomegranate polyphenols are much more active than those of other fruits and vegetables. It is the tannins, not the polyphenolic acids as with all other fruits and vegetables, that constitute the incredible healing power of pomegranate. Tannins give pomegranate that characteristic astringent taste many appreciate. The most potent among them are elagitannins, esters of ellagic acid, with punicolagen being the strongest. This information is crucial for you to select the right pomegranate juice, as the content of punicolagen in commercial pomegranate juice can vary by tenfold. Accordingly, some of them work very weakly, while others work excellently, practically as medicines. These scientific insights have helped us formulate recommendation number 2. The content of beneficial substances in different brands of pomegranate juice can vary by 10 times or more. Therefore, choose the most brightly colored and astringent varieties of juice and just fresh pomegranates. They are the most beneficial. Lastly, pomegranate is not unique in its content of ellagic acid. Many products contain about the same or more than pomegranate. For example, red raspberry contains the same, rosehip approximately half, cloudberry 1.5 times more, blackberry 1.5 times less, and yellow raspberry approximately 4 times more ellagic acid than pomegranate. But pomegranate is much more practical because pomegranate juice is sold in stores, while cloudberry or yellow raspberry juice is hard to find by daylight. And if found, its price will be significantly higher than that of pomegranate juice. To ensure that the studies on the benefits of pomegranate juice are not fakes paid for by the manufacturers, and we will be buying and drinking this rather expensive product for a good reason. I will give you a little more theoretical information on how cholesterol plaques are formed. Those that clog the lumen of vessels and force the body to raise blood pressure, and patients with high blood pressure to consume very expensive, again, medicines with side effects for high blood pressure. A cholesterol plaque is not formed inside the vessel, as many think, but under its inner wall, called the intima. For a cholesterol plaque to form, there must be a lot of oxidized cholesterol in the blood. It is the one that compromises the integrity of the intima. Cholesterol penetrates under the intima, forming a cholesterol plaque, which begins to grow over time. Or a person forms a clot that cannot squeeze through the bottleneck of the narrowed artery, and the person gets an ischemic stroke. Both are hard to call pleasures and are very undesirable events. Consuming foods high in powerful antioxidants helps reduce the amount of oxidized cholesterol in the blood. And as you've already understood, pomegranate juice is one of the most potent antioxidants for combating cholesterol and fats. Its efficacy is comparable to that of our common blackcurrant juice, which can either replace pomegranate juice or support its function if you decide to consume both juices together. Now, friends, knowing the mechanisms of pomegranate juice, we can understand why 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice had such an incredible effect in that study we began our narrative with. 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice reduced the oxidation of bad cholesterol by a whole 90%, which allowed, gradually over a year, to significantly reduce the volume of cholesterol plaques in the carotid arteries, and, by increasing the arterial lumen, lower blood pressure from 170 to 140. Our conclusion number 3 is that pomegranate juice significantly reduces the oxidation of cholesterol in people. This decreases the formation of cholesterol plaques and even allows for the dissolving of existing plaques, increasing the vascular lumen and reducing pressure. The factor that increases the level of oxidation of bad and total cholesterol is their level in the blood, meaning the higher the level of bad and total cholesterol in the blood, the more they oxidize. And the larger and more numerous the atherosclerotic plaques become. Pomegranate juice helps reduce both total and bad cholesterol. This is the second mechanism by which it dissolves cholesterol plaques. This ability of pomegranate juice to lower bad cholesterol was confirmed by a meta-analysis of studies, which combined their results and showed that indeed, at any amount of pomegranate juice from 100 milliliters to 400 milliliters a day, the levels of total and bad cholesterol decrease, but the level of triglycerides hardly decreases, and the level of good cholesterol grows very slightly. This in no way diminishes the usefulness of pomegranate juice. It's important to understand that while pomegranate juice reduces cholesterol levels, it works differently on increasing the vascular lumen and dissolving cholesterol plaques depending on the individual's condition. This explains why some studies have conflicting results. And this gives you a tool to understand how much pomegranate juice can personally help you. Scientists have proven that pomegranate juice has a particularly strong effect on increasing the arterial lumen, specifically in people who are in very poor condition, whose arteries, as in the fur study, are blocked by 70–90%. People whose arteries have not yet significantly narrowed benefit less from pomegranate juice. This also explains why the effect of pomegranate juice ceased after 2 to 3 years of its consumption. However, this does not mean that pomegranate juice should not be consumed by those whose vessels have not significantly narrowed. As shown in this study, Pomegranate juice slows the progression of atherosclerosis, making its consumption beneficial for. This leads us to our fourth conclusion. Pomegranate juice has a more pronounced effect on individuals with more severe atherosclerosis and arterial stenosis, but it does not completely cure these diseases. Comprehensive changes in diet and lifestyle are required for this. I discuss the main changes that will help you reduce blood cholesterol levels and slow down or reverse atherosclerosis in 3 videos on diet for reducing bad and total cholesterol. In these, I also detail the specific anti-cholesterol properties of other food products, aiming to direct your overall diet towards lowering cholesterol. Incorporate pomegranate juice into your diet, fight against high levels of bad cholesterol, and lower your blood pressure. To find out how your diet affects your cholesterol levels and your overall health, stay tuned for our updates. Let's consider the issue of blood glucose levels. Despite the significant amount of sugar, consuming pomegranate juice helps lower blood glucose levels, thereby reducing the risks of diabetes or combating it. Even in diabetics, blood glucose levels decrease significantly. In one study from 195 to 160 units, and in the first study we started with, glucose levels decreased from 120 to 100 units. This is quite a lot. However, pomegranate juice does not lower blood sugar levels in people who already have very high insulin levels in their blood. If you find that pomegranate juice does not help you, you will need to make comprehensive changes to your diet. I've described some of these changes in a special video on whether the keto diet helps fight diabetes. Highly recommended. We conclude that pomegranate juice lowers blood sugar levels in people with normal or low insulin levels, but not in those with high levels. People with serious insulin and glucose metabolism disorders, as well as those with diabetes, require comprehensive dietary changes to address their problems. Does this mean that pomegranate juice is pointless for diabetics? On the contrary, pomegranate juice possesses another remarkable ability. It can significantly reduce inflammation levels in the body. This, in turn, has a beneficial effect on the cardiovascular system and can reduce the risks of developing cancer, as well as lessen the risks or severity of conditions like arthritis or osteoarthritis. Moreover, consuming pomegranate juice also aids in weight reduction, which by itself increases insulin sensitivity, lowers blood sugar and cholesterol levels. In this study, just 250 milliliters of pomegranate juice over 12 weeks, or 3 months, decreased the amount of substances signaling inflammation levels in the blood, so-called inflammation markers, by 30%. That is to say, inflammation levels, roughly speaking, decreased by 1/3. This was also confirmed by a meta-analysis in 2023, which looked at 33 different studies. Scientists concluded that consuming pomegranate juice from 100 to 400 milliliters could serve as an excellent way to reduce inflammation levels in people with cardiovascular diseases. This leads us to our sixth conclusion. For diabetics and people at risk of developing cardiovascular diseases, whether due to cholesterol levels or being overweight, consuming pomegranate juice can reduce inflammation levels. Thus, it reduces the risk of these diseases developing or the severity of their progression, for example, in cases of arthritis or osteoarthritis. And, concurrently, pomegranate juice can also help reduce weight. Honestly, friends, this is an incredible thing, but it truly works. Before we proceed, I would be grateful if you could like this video right now if you enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Let's continue with the issue of weight loss. Honestly, I would least suspect that sweet pomegranate juice could reduce weight. However, this study and several others have dispelled my skepticism. In this study, scientists took 20 people suffering from obesity, and half of them consumed 120 milliliters of pomegranate juice for just 1 month, without changing anything else in their diet or lifestyle. As a result, the group that did not consume pomegranate juice, presumably out of disappointment, ate more and gained 1.1 kilograms over 1 month. Meanwhile, the group that drank pomegranate juice reduced their weight by 1.4 kilograms without any effort and enjoying a tasty and healthy product. Accordingly, regular consumption of pomegranate juice over long periods, as seen in several studies, significantly aids in weight reduction. And weight loss reduces blood sugar levels and lowers blood pressure. as seen in the first study where just 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice reduced blood pressure from 170 to 140 mmHg. A recent meta-analysis, which combined the results of 8 studies on pomegranate juice consumption for lowering blood pressure, confirmed that even small doses of pomegranate juice can have a beneficial effect. If people consumed more than 240 milliliters of pomegranate juice per day, blood pressure decreased by an average of 3.6 mmHg. And people who consumed less than 240 milliliters reduced their blood pressure by approximately 11 mmHg. This is certainly pleasing because pomegranate juice is, unfortunately, not a cheap product. Similarly, even small doses of pomegranate juice can reduce blood viscosity. In this study, people consumed 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice over just 2 weeks, and the level of platelet aggregation, that is, the blood's ability to form clots or thrombi, decreased by 11% over 2 weeks. Thus, even small doses of pomegranate juice can help you reduce blood viscosity and decrease the risks of thrombosis. I discuss all the necessary changes in diet and the products that affect blood thickness in a separate video. You can find the link in the description of the video you are currently watching. Highly recommended. Next, we'll consider the issue of increasing hemoglobin and the number of red blood cells. I have always been quite skeptical about this ability of pomegranate juice because I knew that the iron content in pomegranate juice is minimal, just 3% of the daily dose in 100 milliliters. However, it turned out that people who consumed 500 milliliters of pomegranate juice received 15% of the iron they needed. This can actually be easily obtained from, say, 150 or 200 grams of an apple, but 200 grams of apple will not increase your level of hemoglobin and red blood cells. But 500 milliliters of pomegranate juice significantly increased this level in just 2 weeks. So, this is quite a good strategy, and it will help you increase blood oxygen saturation in people who, unfortunately, are severely ill with COVID-19, where the level of blood oxygen saturation is critically important sometimes for survival. Besides this beneficial action, pomegranate juice also has a direct effect on the symptoms of people who are ill with COVID-19 and possibly other inflammatory viral cold diseases like the flu. Many of you have heard that a severe condition in COVID-19, or even death, is caused by so-called cytokine storm, a huge increase in the amount of pro-inflammatory cytokines, specific substances that the body releases in response to virus penetration. Pomegranate juice, as we remember, significantly reduces the level of inflammation in the body by reducing the amount of those very pro-inflammatory cytokines. Consuming directly 200 milliliters of pomegranate juice indeed significantly improves the condition of COVID-19 patients. In this study, COVID-19 patients consumed 200 milliliters of pomegranate juice 3 times a day, and in addition, they consumed 1 liter of a specific eastern spice called sumac twice a day. This led to a rapid decrease in temperature, reduction of chills, weakness, disturbances in smell and taste, which is very important, reduction of shortness of breath, diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting, and reduced abdominal pain compared to people who did not consume the juice and sumac. Next, we have brain health, where pomegranate has a very significant impact, namely, it improves the brain's ability to process and accumulate information. And if pregnant mothers consume pomegranate juice, their future babies develop those specific brain areas responsible for visual information processing and vision better. Therefore, pomegranate juice can be recommended to elderly people as an additional means to improve brain function and to pregnant women. Thus, friends, numerous studies, including comprehensive large-scale research, confirm that consumption of pomegranate juice reduces levels of total and bad cholesterol, blood pressure, and weight, and helps decrease symptoms and fever in infectious diseases and COVID-19. As for cancer, I want to caution you against speculations and fantasies, as well as the imposition of products made from pomegranate under the guise of being anti-cancerous. Among pomegranate processing products, you can buy many dietary supplements made from the leaves, flowers, peels, and seeds of pomegranate, for example, pomegranate oil. In this video, we only consider the juice. All dietary supplements from pomegranates may well work. But they should be considered separately, since each of them needs to be taken in specific doses and for specific purposes. And these supplements can also be counterfeited with possibly much greater likelihood than pomegranate juice is counterfeited. Also, do not fall for the fantasies of various dealers claiming that any dietary supplements from pomegranate can treat or prevent cancer. All studies conducted to date only indicate that juice, peel, and other pomegranate products have a significant protective effect on DNA damage. DNA damage, i.e., the part of the cell that contains all the genetic information, is the primary cause of cancer. However, these studies do not in any way indicate that consuming pomegranate can reduce cancer risks. Just as there is not a single study that would indicate that any dietary supplements from pomegranate, pomegranate juice, or pomegranate itself can be used to treat cancer. Similarly, there are no studies indicating that specific dietary supplements from pomegranate have a chemopreventive effect, i.e., can protect the body from the harmful effects of chemotherapy. To date, there are only experiments in test tubes or on animals that were administered pomegranate products directly into the cancer tumor, and this slowed the growth of the cancer tumor or reduced the effects of chemotherapy. But there are no such studies for humans yet. That is why ellagic acid in tablets, the same ellagic acid found in pomegranates, cloudberries, rose hips, and yellow raspberries, has been recognized by the FDA, Federal Drug Administration. This is the very organization in America that monitors the quality and proper use of medicines, dietary supplements, and the quality of food products. The FDA has recognized ellagic acid in tablets as a safe agent, but has issued warning letters to manufacturers who produce and advertise it in such a manner. Therefore, despite all the positive information you have received from my video, remember that pomegranate has its nuances. Pomegranate juice, indeed, it can have some positive effects. In particular, in this study, people consumed approximately 240 milliliters of pomegranate juice over 2 periods of 33 months, each almost 6 years, and this significantly increased the time it took for the level of prostate-specific antigen in the blood to double. This substance indicates the risk or level of prostate cancer development. The slower the prostate-specific antigen level increases, the lower the risk of prostate cancer occurring in those predisposed to it, or its aggressive and uncontrollable development. In men who did not consume pomegranate juice, the time for the doubling of the prostate-specific antigen amount was 15 months. For those who consumed these 240 milliliters of pomegranate juice, it was 54 months, 3 times longer. Additionally, for those among them who already had prostate cancer, the tumor development speed decreased by 12%. Thus, it can be concluded that pomegranate juice is a very effective means for patients with prostate cancer. Pomegranate juice can also act like Viagra. Thus, men who consume 250 milliliters of pomegranate juice in 2 periods of 2 months, with a 2-week break, significantly improved erectile function in 25 out of 42. That is, they experienced fewer problems with erection, and the erection was stronger. Scientists note that the improvement in erection is related to the same mechanisms that improve the cardiovascular system's condition, thus linking love and heart health. Pomegranate juice increases the amount of nitric oxide in the blood, which dilates blood vessels, including those of the penis, improving and strengthening the erection. Studies on the increase in testosterone levels in men after consuming pomegranate juice are quite contradictory. There are animal studies showing various results, and similarly, human studies are conflicting. In some cases, the testosterone level slightly increased, while in others, it did not increase at all. Therefore, I do not give you recommendations on consuming pomegranate juice to increase testosterone, because it is unclear whether it will work on you or not. But pomegranate juice can help improve sports achievements and can be an alternative to Viagra for those looking to enhance their erectile function. In another large study, the results of numerous studies were combined, showing that consuming pomegranate juice in amounts from 100 to 400 milliliters per day improved recovery between workouts from the second to third day. 240 milliliters a day reduced weakness and soreness in elbow joints after workouts, and also increased endurance and raised the level of load that athletes deemed suitable for themselves. In addition, it delayed the onset of pain under high loads. Pomegranate juice also reduced the amount of oxygen consumed, indicating improved muscle efficiency, and decreased inflammation levels after workouts. Finally, an important and pleasant part about hot flashes for women who have crossed the climacteric period threshold. Consuming those same 240 milliliters of pomegranate juice stabilized estrogen and testosterone hormones, reducing the undesirable effects of menopause, including the frequency and intensity of hot flashes. This, in turn, allowed for a reduction in the quantity of very expensive and unsafe hormonal medications and their replacement with very tasty pomegranate juice, which also has additional health benefits. Before we move on to defining the working dose of pomegranate juice, we can make our conclusion number 9, which is that consuming pomegranate juice helps improve erectile function, increases the strength and success of erections, and also reduces the severity and frequency of hot flashes and improves sports performance by reducing pain and increasing recovery speed. The therapeutic dose. In all my numerous videos where we discuss the use of regular food products as medicines, we talk about how they have their therapeutic dose and contraindications. At a high dose, pomegranate does not have such restrictions, meaning there is a beneficial dose, but no harmful dose exists. You simply cannot drink so much pomegranate juice to cause any sensitive harm to your body. Summing up the results of the studies I have described to you, and dozens more that I did not include in this video, I can conclude number 10. It consists of the optimal amount of pomegranate juice being between 200 to 400 milliliters per day. It can be divided into 2 to 3 portions. However, even small amounts, from 50 milliliters per day, just a quarter of a cup, are also beneficial. Therefore, it makes sense to consume pomegranate juice in the dosages that you can afford. If you can drink 50 milliliters, consume 50. If you can afford 250, very good. However, friends, what is extremely important, despite the fact that pomegranate juice sometimes starts working very quickly, literally within a couple of weeks, to achieve a stable result, it must be taken for a long time, several months, a year, or several years, depending on the type of health disorders and their severity. You must also always remember that pomegranate juice, like any other product, like any medicine, like any supplement, is not a magic pill. And achieving success definitely requires changing your lifestyle and diet. More information on this topic can be found on our channel. Subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. Please like and share this video with your friends. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. I eagerly await your comments and encourage you to watch these useful videos.